Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got something kind of special and just a little bit different. Instead of breaking down a shoe or talking about its overall performance, we're going to talk about a big problem with sneakers, which is, what the f, man? These are hella yellow already. So today we've got a special guest. We actually have Darren, the founder of Capsule. Capsule's main premise is all about wearing your sneakers, but also making them last as long as possible. So when I'm pulling out my 2019s, black and cements, and they're already piss yellow, or the same year of my, I love these, and they did not come sale, you know what I mean? Like they turned this way. So when I see that, and then I see your pair is like mad fresh in here, and so I'm just kind of like, I feel like I wasted my money. So that's always like something that obviously this is supposed to do. But before we deep dive into like what your product is, how you like came up with it and the process and everything like that, how long have you been into sneakers, and how long have you been collecting, and where are you from, and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, so my name is Darren Lee, and I'm the founder of Capsule, like Chris said. Originally from Stockton, Bay Area, grew up NorCal all my life, played basketball, and really early on I got hooked on sneakers, just Jordan brand, Nike. I always wanted the freshest pair of shoes on when I was out in the court, and that's really where the love for shoes started. And so I think 10 or 12 years old was probably when I first got my first pair. I just remember that feeling of getting your first pair of Jordans, and like how, you know, you look at the commercial and it's like Mike, and you actually kind of believe you could be like Mike, even though I was never that good at all. As a kid, I would save up my money for lunch and go clean houses or clean apartments with my mom at her job, and really put that money away to buy sneakers. So I just remember back in the day, I had these Puerto Rican Air Force Ones, and they were all red with this really soft, buttery leather and like a white midsole. And I remember going into my closet and opening them one day, and they were just like completely yellow. Couldn't do anything about it. I was like back in the day where all you had is Payless like shoe cleaner and like Dawn soap with a toothbrush to use. Fast forward to like 2019 is when I first came up with this product. I look in my closet and I see some of those same signs of yellowing, cracking, and just really the shoes starting to age and fall apart. And I wanted to prevent this from happening, so I really just kind of started researching to figure out what was available out there, and there was nothing on the market. So I wanted to make something for myself and for the sneaker community in general.
So we kind of have similar, not just like area or location upbringings, but just the overall story. Same thing, basketball. I was really concerned about just making them stay clean, you know, being very careful and things like that. But like when we first started doing YouTube, there would be multiple different ways to essentially store your sneakers, whether it be in like Rubbermaid containers, wrapped in towels, silica packets, Ziploc bags. Now there's the containers that we have some over there, the drop fronts and stuff like that. So like, are those things that you've also used in the process of trying to come up with this, or did you already like feel like those already did not work?
Yeah, so during the process, I really just did research like myself, and then I hired like this guy who's a chemical engineer with a PhD like in polymers and nanocomposites. I said like, why doesn't a plastic bag work? Why doesn't a vacuum seal bag work? Why doesn't shrink wrap work? Like what do we need to do to actually preserve your shoes and really understand the science behind it, and then kind of build a product back from that. So the things about plastic in like Ziploc bags, vacuum seal bags, the barrier or the material they use is like a cheaper material, and it's really not designed to like prevent the oxygen and moisture from coming inside. So like, and those are the two biggest factors of making your shoes like what they call oxidize and hydrolysis, which is just basically exposing your shoes to oxygen and moisture. So if you think about it, like it's almost like a net. Like if you had like a net, right, it might stop big rocks from coming in, but it's not going to stop the smaller rocks or like the water from seeping through, right? But if you have a finer net or like a coarser net, it's going to stop that oxygen and moisture from coming through, and that's what our product does. So we use a layered material which insulates and shields from like oxygen and moisture, and also blocks UV sunlight. And so the interesting thing about UV sunlight is that it not only fades your shoes, but it also accelerates oxidation and hydrolysis. So if you're like in Miami or Singapore where it's like sunny all day and there's humidity, and you know, obviously there's always some oxygen in the air because we need it to breathe, then your shoes are going to be cooked a lot faster than somewhere else.
Now with a product like this, obviously you've done extensive testing. You have some samples here of shoes that have disintegrated essentially.
Yeah.
These are polyurethane based midsoles though.
Right.
So polyurethane is typically what you could see once it starts to crumble, a really like porous open celled type of foam, versus an EVA, which is what these guys are featuring. So the midsoles here usually won't crumble, but the glues and things like that are susceptible to this same kind of outcome where like it can dry out and separate. Could you just explain like maybe how this will help both things be preserved and I guess essentially be more wearable long term?
Yeah. So I think one of the things when we think about like the oxidation and hydrolysis, there's like the material can actually like fade, right? So like the material, it's gonna like lose its kind of structure and it kind of become a little bit more like dense and look ashy almost like it needs like some lotion, right? And you could kind of see like with different pairs of shoes and how leather cracks. So that's like one thing that's gonna happen for like all shoes, right? All shoes kind of need to protect the materials. And then from like we talk about the midsole, usually like hydrolysis, which is the interaction with your shoes with like the moisture in the air is what's going to cause that glue to separate. So your shoes are going to look like they're talking like these ones and they're going to come apart. And so this is going to help for any type of shoe because they all use basically the same type of glue to hold down the midsole. And so the other thing is usually they have a polyurethane air unit inside too. So sometimes that crumbles, but you don't really like, you might not feel it as much until you're walking on it a lot. And so
right down here.
And so so I think even like when the polyurethane
the casing,
yeah. So when this can fall apart inside. So even though the
you
outside
can pull it out. So this is EVA. So this is not crumble.
Yes.
But
inside.
Right. The air unit won't last.
It won't last forever. So you're going to be walking on eggshells pretty much inside your shoes, right? And so there's a couple of people on Instagram, you could follow them where they take apart like the Jordan 1s and you could just see like how the inside is just completely crumbled. And like most people don't think that Jordan 1s or Dunks or some of those shoes crumble, but when they have PU inserts,
yeah, like the wedges and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Then it crumbles and fall apart.
Right. So essentially like the air is the main component or the bad thing that's affecting these shoes?
Yeah, so when we think about air, air always has oxygen and like water vapor or humidity, no matter like where you're at. I'm in Arizona and there's still moisture in the air, even though it's a dry desert. And so even if you keep your shoes in a closet or in your house, they're still going to be exposed to that air and to that oxygen and moisture. And over time, your shoes are going to show signs of wearing, aging, yellowing, and eventually crumble and fall apart. Like nothing lasts forever, but with our product, it's been designed and tested to actually extend the lifespan of your shoes and give you more wear and just keep them looking like new.
So to help with that, you've got this, what you guys are just labeling as preservative. They look like little CO2 cartridges. They're really interesting. And basically you use this to replace the air. And then the bag that you have here is airtight.
Right.
And will not let any of this out or anything new in. Can you explain what this is and just essentially like how it works, not just by pushing the air out, but like what are you replacing the air with that is safer for your product that will keep it more wearable longer?
Yeah, so how this works is you basically connect it here and it's going to inflate the bag and push out like what we call the bad air, which is the oxygen and moisture inside out through this outlet valve. And so if you think about it like a vacuum sealed is like if we're in this room, a vacuum sealed has one door, right? And you're just gonna hook up a vacuum and suck everything out from that one door in a room. This is called a purge method. So if you can imagine there's two doors in a room and you're gonna use like a leaf blower to like blow everything out from like one side to the other, out the other door. And so that's what we're doing. We're pushing out all the oxygen and moisture out through this valve. And why that's so important is because when you do a vacuum sealed method, you're kind of like drawing out like plasticizers and other things that have been in like the midsoles and other parts of the shoe where it's going to change the structure, the integrity, or even the color. So you don't want to use like a vacuum sealed process. And so with our preservative, what's unique about it, it's similar to like nitrogen. So if you think about like nitrogen, it doesn't interact with things. So it doesn't cause them to like age, yellow, crumble. Like if you think about oxygen causes things to mold, it causes building to rust, right? These are signs of aging. So what we do is we replace it with like something similar to nitrogen, which is basically unique in the sense that nothing's going to react with it. So your shoes are almost in an ideal environment where they're not going to react to anything in there. So they're going to stay kind of in a condition that you put them in, right? And so like I said, it's not going to make them last forever, but it's definitely going to extend the life of your shoes. And so with our airtight design, you're able to prevent the oxygen from coming in, and then you're also be able to remove the oxygen and moisture inside. And so that's like the key difference between us, a vacuum seal bag, and a Ziploc bag, because if you put it in a Ziploc bag, you still have oxygen and moisture inside.
What even made you think of this? And was it that you partnered with scientific experts and then, or like you only knew that this was a problem that you needed to fix? Like, how did you even go about the process of creating something so what I would just loosely call weird? Because this is definitely this is like some new in sneakers where I'm just like, bro, like we've been using, like I said, towels, drop fronts, Rubbermaid tins, and Ziplocs for the longest time, silica packs, and then this comes out of nowhere and we're just kind of like, what the hell is that? Like, that's so strange.
Right. So at first I just really started looking for myself. So I was like, do Ziploc bags work? Do vacuum seal bags work? Silica packs, just anything out there. And I just went on YouTube, and I really didn't find anything that really was backed by science and that anyone could they could say, I tested these shoes and this is the difference, and this is why I prevented yellowing, why I prevented crumbling or oxidation, anything of that. So from there, I wanted to find someone who was an expert in this space. So I found this guy by sheer luck. I mean, he's like a chemical engineer with like a PhD in polymers and like nanocomposites, which is basically like sneaker materials, like what your sneakers are made of. And so I came to him with this problem. I was like, hey, can we stop sneakers from falling apart and aging? And he's like, we can't stop it, but we can definitely slow it down. And there's some methods out there I think that we can try and see how well it works. So from there, we kind of tried this wasn't the first one. So we tried different substances than what we use here. And we tried a few different ones. This one worked the best. And that's why I tell people not to use CO2, because we tried CO2 and it really didn't work. And then after that point, we tested it over 400 hours of testing, which equates to a certain amount of years of you actually wearing your shoes. And so we saw the difference of the yellowing and the aging and the signs of degradation on a pair of Air Force Ones. And that really showed us that the product was working and it was doing what it was supposed to.
That's some Bill Nye shit. I like that. Are you like a nerd just in general, or
I get obsessive.
Okay.
So I'm an obsessive person. If I have a passion, I'll dig into it. I was looking for a mattress one day, and I was just a week went by, and I was trying to find the best mattress for my back. Just little stuff like that is just, I'm always I'll dig into it and really try to find the root cause, the science, and the stats behind it.
That's interesting. As somebody that's kind of I don't know what I would call myself, I guess a go-between between the brand / retailer to consumer. One of the things that I've noticed is that they want you just to consume. Have you run into what brand people think about stuff like this, and what are their overall thoughts of making their products that they want you to consume last longer?
It's interesting. I haven't had those type of conversations with them. It's really more have been they think that most people don't want to invest into their collection or into the shoes. They just want to consume. But our consumer, we're having sales and people are buying this product. So I'm saying no, I think people want nostalgic products, right? Everything that used to be vintage is coming back in style. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's really a big trend right now. And I think big consumers are missing out on that opportunity to really kind of preserve vintage items like your shoes and be able to have them for years and years to come.
So now that we know a little bit of the process, the science behind it, which is really cool, what can we expect out of the brand? Where can we find the products? Where do you want to take things and things like that? Just let people know your thoughts, your overall feelings on how things are going, and then where they can find you guys both on social, the website, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so you can find us website at capsulestore.com. Also, our Instagram is Capsule Store, and Facebook is Capsule, and then our YouTube is Capsule as well. And so where I think the brand is going, we're trying to grow the customer base as much as possible and really just build trust in the community. And that's why we're coming on to podcasts like this to kind of talk to you guys about the science behind it, what we've done, and really just kind of communicate that we're really here for everyone to have their sneakers for a longer time. I mean, that's why this product was made, and really get the most use and enjoyment out of them. I think, we want to be the Jason Mark, the Rejuvenator, the Crep of sneaker preservation. We want to start a whole nother subsection or segment of the market and really make this a go-to product for when you want to protect your grills, your favorite kicks, or just some shoes that you want to hold on to for longer. We want to be the go-to product for you. So as far as pricing, you can go buy our 1-pack, our 2-pack, or a 4-pack. The cheapest option is our monthly subscription model, which is called Capsule Club. And it comes in this little unit right here, and you get a bag, an inflator, and a cartridge. After you get this inflator, you really don't need it anymore because you can interchange it and use it over and over again. And then so after that, you'll get like a re-up kit, which is just really the bag and the cartridge. So if you want to build your collection, that's the easiest way to do it, like on a monthly basis, and that starts at $39.99. And then if you want to do the same thing, you get a 2-pack, and that's at $79.99, and then the 4-pack is at $139.99. So the more you buy, the cheaper it gets per unit, per pack, well, I'll say, and that includes your pod and your cartridge.
So there's a lot of different like sectors within the sneakerhead community. There's the people that use their products. There's the people that don't use their products. There's the people that hoop in their products or run in their products. What is the, I guess, baseline consumer that you're after, or is it all of them? What can this product do for every type of sneakerhead that's out there?
Yes, that's a great question. So I mean, this really fits for a lot of different sneakerheads. So like you have your high heat people, the ones that want the Yeezy 1s, Yeezy 2s, the Red Octobers. Those are really, really popular shoe that, eventually going to crumble, right? So you want to hold on to those shoes for as long as possible. Those are a strong percentage of our customer base. Then you also have the people who just have, 30 or more pairs of shoes, right? If you have 30 pairs of shoes, you can wear them once a month if you just wear one each day. So you're really wearing that shoe 12 times a year. That means there's 365 days, there's 352 days, they're just sitting in your shoebox in your closet and they're not being protected. And then I think there's also just the people who may want to buy this and then later on resell them, or just double up so that their current shoe they could wear, but then they have one kind of put on ice for a later date to sell or to use when they're older. And then I think there's one more market where you have a parent, a child, or something, like you get like a special shoe, maybe they hit a game-winning shot in and you want to just keep them fresh and just hold on to that moment for as long as possible. I think those are our main customers and consumers right now at this point. But I think really, if you just love sneakers, man, and you really want to make them last longer, then I think Capsule's for you.
So before we leave, we just have one more question. Is there any possible way that WearTesters viewers can get a slight discount?
So yes, we do. We have a WearTesters coupon code that we're going to drop in the chat so you guys can take advantage, and I hope you guys enjoy the product, and feel free to reach out to us and let us know what you think.
Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We hope that this was somewhat informative. I think that the product is really cool, especially the more that I learn about it.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me and welcoming me on the podcast, and I appreciate your time.
You're our first in-studio person.
Oh yeah, nice.
So yeah,
nice.
Normally nobody's allowed in here. So, oh no, wait, actually you're our second. Kafusi was the first one, but you're our first of this caliber. Like we're because he's part of the running community, okay. Even though it's still kind of like sneaker, but still like performance. Like this is like for like retro heads and nerds and stuff like that. Right. So yeah, this is like the first like crazy thing that we've done. So it's pretty cool. So thanks for coming.
Thanks, man.